Democratic candidate for Ohio Secretary of State Allison Russo was in the Mid-Ohio Valley Friday campaigning on voter rights and transparency. Russo met with local election workers and trade groups, sharing her vision for a bipartisan voting process. Our Cassidy Fury has the details.
Ohio State Representative Allison Russo spent her Friday traveling across the Mid-Ohio Valley, meeting with community leaders, election officials, and local laborers. The former House Minority Leader says her 8 years in the legislature taught her that everyday issues like inflation and high costs are driving voter anxiety, and that the ballot box remains the public's strongest tool for accountability.
What I hear by and large from most Ohioans is they are very concerned about cost right now. Grocery prices are high, gas prices are high, healthcare cost, rent, energy cost, and they want people in elected office, particularly at the State House and in Congress, who are responsive to those needs and committed to addressing that.
Russo's tour included a stop with regional trade councils across the river at Parkersburg and Marietta Contractors and Trades, highlighting her personal roots in a labor household and her legislative record fighting for working families. If elected, she aims to safeguard the state's bipartisan checks and balances while advocating heavily for expanded voter education.
I think number one is the job of the Secretary of State, regardless of who someone votes for or doesn't vote for, is to be an advocate for voters and for voting. It's making sure that our local elections officials have the resources and support that they need to be able to carry out secure and fair elections. And it's also about how do we expand voter education and voter outreach so that we are bringing more people to the table to have a voice in those decisions that are being made.
Russo praised Ohio's current system outside the Board of Elections in Marietta, noting that having equal representation of both Democrats and Republicans at every county board keeps the process secure. However, she warns that those security measures must coexist with strong protections for early, remote, and mail-in voting options. With several local and regional issues on the horizon, Russo urged residents of the Mid-Ohio Valley to make sure they are registered and ready to participate.
Many of the decisions that are being made right now, whether it's about this injection well issue, it's about data centers, it's about flock cameras. A lot of people have a lot of concerns, cost of living. Those decisions are being made by people who are going to be on the ballot on November 3rd. Use your voice, show up. That is the best way to create change and have a seat at the table.
For Russo, securing trust in the election system means educating the public and silencing misinformation before voters cast their ballots. Reporting in Marietta, I'm Cassidy Fury with WTAP News.